part of the spiritual infrastructure and backbone of the life movement. You've dedicated, is it 40 years ago that you dedicated?
That's right.
You came to, had a catharsis and came to the fact that, hey, I want to dedicate, not just as a priest, you'd already been a priest, but I want to dedicate my life to this.
That's right. My whole life in ministry focused on protecting the unborn, ending the violence of abortion. And you know, with all the issues, Steve, that you and I deal with, all the things that America faces right now, you know, there's nothing more basic than you don't kill babies. I mean, there's no right more basic than life itself. You take away life, you've taken away education, you've taken away security, you've taken away economy, you've taken away the right to vote, you've taken away everything. And this issue, therefore, remains right at the heart and core of making and keeping America great.
Why is it so? For last year, the March for Life, and I kept saying when it was Breitbart and Andrew and I get the place there on Capitol Hill, and I said, it's amazing. This March to Life draws like, I don't know, 500,000, a million people.
Right.
And it was never covered, even on Fox. Nobody would ever cover it. Bush and these presidents would never go to it.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, we were here during the Obama years. But it was shocking how massive it was, how young it was.
Yep.
And nobody covered it. But then last year, for COVID, it was the first time in how many years it was canceled?
Yeah, that's right. Group of us leaders, about 100 leaders, but now that's the first time that had happened. I've been coming to it for 47 years. I came to the third annual march in 76 as a high school student, and it really has been growing ever since. And it's amazing how, well, when media spiked, of course, was when President Trump came in person. You know, that of course, you got more media coverage.
How is his support to the life movement?
It's been extraordinary. And he's been, you know, we say he's been the most pro-life president in history. It's literally true. I remember during the 2016 campaign, I was serving on the pro-life advisory board at the time, and we were told, listen, if he's elected, he's going to do everything that past pro-life presidents have done and more. And that "and more" phrase stuck with me. And during all his 4 years, I saw that "and more" come true time and time again. We are so grateful in the movement for that.
Did that impress you? Because, you know, he's not a churchy, he'd be the first guy to say he's not a churchy type.
Right.
You know, he's Donald Trump.
Yeah.
So walk through, what was it about Trump that it not just had the back of this movement? He didn't just embrace the movement. He embraced it and took leadership. More than many guys that come around and men and women come around and they talk about their faith and they talk about that, which is fine. This guy actually not just wanted to do more, he wanted to get to the heart of it, of how we get this thing sorted.
Yeah, exactly. Well, first of all, the way that he talked about it. Extremely helpful. We can't beat around the bush and dance around the issue. When he had that third debate with Hillary Clinton and he said, you know, you might be okay with you that you ripped the baby out of the womb in the 9th month, but it's not okay with me. And he's talking about it in a way that American people are talking about it around their kitchen table, yes. You know? And that's what I have seen it in the movement ever since. That moment galvanized people, said, yeah, we
was that big? Because I tell you, in debate prep, it would get him so upset about her policies.
Yes.
And kind of the arrogant, smug way they would talk about it.
Right.
And he got worked up about it. That's what when she opened up for that, he came in, I said, wow, that's a moment right there.
It's a moment.
And you could tell people were galvanized by that.
And it gives a signal to other politicians, say, hey, listen, don't let because here's what the other side never does. They never describe what they defend. They'll defend the so-called right to abortion, right to choice, health care, constitutional rights, and whatever. Yeah, but tell me what an abortion is. Read for me, in fact, they don't even have to make anything up. Read for me, I tell them, the words out of the medical textbook, Abortion Practice, written by Dr. Warren Hearn. Read the words there. Or read the words when abortionists testify under oath about the procedures they perform. They use the word decapitate. They use the word dismember. You'll never hear these words in the speech of pro-abortion politicians. You'll never hear the words blood, foot, leg, skull. But you do read those words in the testimony of these abortionists. So this is one of the things, in answer to your question about President Trump, one of the ways that he dealt with this head on, first of all, is how do we talk about it? And how do we challenge the other side to expose the extremism of what they really support. But then there was more. There was the going after, in other words, the executive policies that he was able to put into place right away, for example, restoring the Mexico City policy, protecting our money from going for abortion overseas. He didn't just restore it. As you know, Steve, he expanded it. He expanded it to cover more money, to protect more of our taxpayer dollars and more of the agencies of government. And, that was a simple step. It's like, why didn't people take care of that earlier? That could have been done in earlier administrations. Why, for example, did previous administrations let the ambiguity that had gotten into the enforcement of Title X, the money going for Planned Parenthood, $60 million a year, there was a loophole there. There was an ambiguity. It was already in the law that this money wasn't supposed to go for abortion. But then it was like, well, it's not going directly, but the clinic is attached to the federally funded facility. And he said, no. We're gonna draw a clear line here. There's got to be a separation physically and financially between a federally funded family planning clinic and anything related to abortion. And again, he took that step. And not to mention, of course, the judges. I mean, the judges impact the abortion issue in a tremendously powerful way, in a actually disproportionate way than they're supposed to. But he set things straight in that arena too. So we in the pro-life movement could not be. I don't see how we could ask for anything more, frankly.
So this is the first anniversary of the illegitimate regime taking power. What has this year been like? And because a lot of people would say, well, hold it, you're winning on every front.
Yeah.
You had this law in Texas. You've argued the Supreme Court, I guess the Mississippi argument. They're all going nuts that you got these Trump judges that clearly look like they're at least open to these arguments about Roe v. Wade. What is the Biden administration trying to do to reverse Trump? Where do you guys actually stand? Where does this movement stand today?
Well, we stand in a very, very strong position precisely because of the judges. I mentioned that all these years I've been coming to this march, and the people that are going to be there tomorrow can testify to this too. We've marched in circumstances where the political wind has been on our backs. When the Republicans would control either the House or the Senate or both, they would traditionally pass some kind of pro-life legislation concurrent with the March for Life. So that would be something, it would add to the happiness of the day. And then, of course, we went through the Clinton years, the Obama years. We've marched with the winds in our faces. But now we have a strange combination of the two, because we've got the most pro-abortion administration right now. We've got the most pro-abortion Congress, and yet at the same time, we've got this tremendous sense of hope that the Supreme Court is about to make a major change in Roe v. Wade, if not do away with it altogether. And that means that's overriding everything else. We see the Congress trying to, every step of the way trying to pour more money into the abortion industry. We see Biden trying to do it by executive action. We see them absolutely unapologetic about the fact that they don't want any restrictions or regulations at all on abortion. There's not a single abortion that they're willing to say, I would limit it, I would prohibit it, I would protect that baby. Not a single one. So the audacity, it's just disgusting. The whole thing is disgusting. But nevertheless, our movement right now is energized and very, very, very confident about what the Supreme Court is about to do.
Okay, we're going to take a short break. Two things I'm going to talk to Father Frank. I'm going to have him think about it over the break. Is one, how modern technology. I noticed one thing about this movement. It's many young people. Modern technology is opening the fact about actually life. It's not a theoretical discussion. You can now see it, and that's driving. Also, this movement started with kind of the super conservative Catholics. I remember my mom and various members of my family very early on in the 70s were part of this. But then the evangelicals obviously picked up and became a very big part of the evangelicals. The question I want to ask you, getting back, you've dedicated your life to the church, to the Catholic Church. Yet you just said this onslaught by the left. It's Biden, it's Pelosi, and I think it's even Dick Durbin. There's so many Catholics in the Democratic Party. I think people just need to explain it. How can they still be practicing Catholics and be at the forefront, not just of pastors saying, oh, if it's a woman's right to choose, but actively driving, which looks